Is it too late to learn again? What neuroscience really says about the 50-plus brain. We recently talked about the idea of the M-shaped life. The idea that instead of forcing yourself to choose one single path and cling to it forever, you build a life around multiple deep interests, unfolding across different seasons. Not a straight line, not a single peak, but a series of meaningful climbs. After that video, I spent a lot of time reading through your comments, and there was a pattern that stayed with me. Many of you wrote things like, "I wish I had seen this 20 years ago," or "Is it too late for me if I'm already in my 50s or 60s?" And I want to be very clear about something. As someone who is not yet 50, it would feel arrogant for me to stand here and tell you how to live your life. That's not what this is. So instead of offering advice, I did something else. I went to the research. I looked into the cognitive science of what actually happens in the brain as we age, what changes, what doesn't, and what that means for our ability to learn, to change, and to begin again. What I'm sharing with you is not motivation. It's not optimism. It's neuroscience. And alongside that research, I want to share a practical framework, one designed specifically for how the 50-plus brain actually works, not how we think it works. The first thing we need to do is let go of a myth. Most of us carry a quiet, persistent belief about our own minds, that aging equals decline, that forgetting a name is proof that our best mental years are behind us, that slower thinking means the learning phase of life is over. But when you look at the science, that story simply doesn't hold up. What's happening in the aging brain is not simple decay, it's active remodeling. A shift away from one kind of intelligence and into another, a different system with different strengths. To understand this, we need to talk about two types of intelligence: fluid intelligence versus crystallized intelligence. The first is fluid intelligence. This is your brain's raw processing power, speed, mental agility, how quickly you can solve a brand new puzzle or hold several unfamiliar ideas in your head at once. And yes, the research is clear. Fluid intelligence does gradually slow down with age. But that's only half the story. The second type is crystallized intelligence. This is your accumulated knowledge, your experience, your pattern recognition, your understanding of complex situations, people, and systems. In other words, wisdom. And this type of intelligence does not decline. In fact, it continues to grow and become more interconnected well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. One classic study demonstrates this beautifully. Researchers compared older typists with younger ones. The older typists had slower finger tapping speed. Their raw motor speed had declined, and yet they typed just as fast. How? They looked further ahead in the text. They anticipated words and phrases before they appeared. They used experience to compensate for speed. They weren't moving faster, they were thinking smarter. Why learning feels harder and why that's not failure. The mistake many of us make is that we try to learn new things using the strategy of a 20-year-old. We try to brute force memorize. We rely on speed. We push harder when things don't stick. And when it feels exhausting, we assume something is wrong with us. But this isn't a motivation problem, it's biology. Brain imaging studies show something fascinating. When a younger person performs a task, you often see one specific area of the brain light up. But when an older person performs the same task, something different happens. Multiple regions activate. The brain recruits support from other networks. This is called compensatory scaffolding. Your brain is reorganizing itself, building a supportive structure by bringing more of itself to the problem. This is why learning feels harder. It literally requires more metabolic energy. But here's the critical point. That effort is not a sign of decline. It's the mechanism of maintenance. By challenging these scaffolds, you keep them strong. Even though the brain may shrink slightly in volume with age, plasticity remains remarkably stable. You can maintain and even expand competence well into later life if you use the right methods. Adjusting the strategy, serial mastery for the 50-plus brain. The idea of serial mastery still applies. That means dedicating yourself to one major skill for a season, typically 6 to 18 months, instead of trying to learn everything at once. But for the 50-plus brain, we need two critical adjustments. Adjustment 1 is energy is the currency. Because your brain is using more energy to build scaffolds, we have to respect its rhythm. Most people over 50 experience a real biological shift in their internal clock. Many naturally become morning-oriented. Your peak window of mental clarity, the time when focus comes most easily, is often in the morning hours. So use that. Do your most demanding learning before noon. Save routine tasks for later. This isn't discipline, it's alignment. Next comes the spacing effect. Long marathon sessions drain neurotransmitters quickly and lead to brain fog. Instead, break learning into short, focused blocks. 3 40-minute sessions are far more effective than one exhausting 2-hour stretch. And finally, we need to rethink working memory. As we age, working memory becomes less like a large desk and more like a small workbench. You can't keep as many tools on it at once. So don't try. Write everything down. Externalize complexity. Your notebook is not a crutch, it's an extension of your cognition. Adjustment 2. Connecting the new to the old. This is the most important shift. Never try to learn something in isolation. Always anchor new information to what you already know. This is called relational learning. While processing speed declines, our ability to see structural similarities between domains remains strong. If you're learning to code, compare functions to grammar in a language you already speak. If you're learning a new business model, map it onto a historical event or system you understand deeply. This approach bypasses the need for raw speed and activates the vast knowledge network you've spent a lifetime building. But there is a hidden challenge here. The real enemy is unlearning. For the 50-plus brain, the hardest part of learning isn't learning something new. It's unlearning the old. Your habits, skills, and routines are deeply carved neural paths. When something new resembles something old, your brain automatically defaults to the familiar route. This is called proactive interference. It's not that you can't learn, it's that your experience is getting in the way. So, how do we restore flexibility? Becoming a beginner again. Cognitive researcher Dr. Rachel Wu studied something called cognitive agility. Her work suggests that we lose flexibility because we stop approaching the world like children. Children learn multiple unrelated skills simultaneously: language, movement, social rules, without old habits interfering. In her studies, older adults learned 3 unrelated skills at the same time: Spanish, photography, and painting. 15 hours a week, 3 months. The results were remarkable. Processing speed improved, working memory improved. In some cases, performance reached levels comparable to people decades younger. The pillar and playground model. This doesn't contradict serial mastery, it completes it. Think of your learning life as having 2 parts. First, the pillar. This is your main focus, your serious project, about 70% of your energy. This is where you go deep. Second, the playground. 2 additional skills, chosen not for mastery, but for novelty and flexibility. They must be dissimilar from your pillar and from each other. If your pillar is analytical, your playground should be physical or sensory. If your pillar is creative, your playground should be structural. The goal in the playground is simple: be a beginner. No pressure, no identity, no performance. This low-stakes novelty keeps your brain agile and supports deeper learning in your pillar. A note on cognitive health. This framework is designed for the healthy aging brain. If someone is living with mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's, the goals change. Challenge becomes confusion. Struggle becomes stress. That's a different map, requiring a different kind of care. So, is it too late? No. While raw speed may fade, something far more powerful accumulates: a vast, interconnected library of experience. When you respect this shift, protect your energy, anchor new learning to old knowledge and give yourself permission to be a beginner again, learning doesn't end, it evolves. And it may surprise you how capable you still are. If you want help applying this, I've created a free PDF guide that walks you through designing your own pillar and playground, along with lifestyle habits that support this kind of learning. You'll find the link in the description. I hope this helped you see the next chapter of your life with more clarity and more hope. There is still so much to explore. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.